Good morning, everybody, and welcome. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. So I would love to hear who you are and where you are from. If you want to share it in the chat box, kind of what intrigues you for being here today. Had to turn off the fan. Made me look like I had a propeller on top of my head. It still does. I'm Andrea Leonard. I am the president and founder of the Cancer Exercise Training Institute. Hey, Liz in Australia, and Jessica from Central New York, Jackie, Palm Beach County. Thank you for being here. Got about another minute before we'll get started, but yeah, if you're just getting on right now, if you feel like sharing in the chat box, would love to know who you are, where you're from in this world, and even what brings you here today. Are you a fitness professional looking for opportunities, wanting to learn more about cancer? I definitely want to make this worth your while. Welcome, Denise from Connecticut. I see a couple of different people from YMCAs, Jennifer from South Carolina. All right, we got the East Coast covered. Woohoo. Okay, I am going to get started. I'm Andrea Leonard. I am the president and founder of the Cancer Exercise Training Institute. And perhaps more importantly, I'm a 37-year cancer survivor. So I'm not sure what came first, the desire for, being a fitness professional or being diagnosed with cancer. It all kind of came at me the same time. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer when I was 18. And that, as you probably know, when your thyroid is removed, is going to affect your metabolism and instant weight gain, fatigue, complete lethargy. And then that started a lifetime of eating disorders and body dysmorphia. And that's essentially what drove me to become a personal trainer. But it was my mom's second diagnosis with breast cancer back in 1995 that kind of spearheaded creating programs for cancer recovery. And I had been training her breast surgeon at the time and said, what do you think about writing a book on exercises for breast cancer survivors? And mind you, the internet barely was coming to be at that point. So there was virtually no information available. And I spent the next 3 years with the chiefs of breast surgery at Georgetown, GW, and Johns Hopkins, writing essential exercises for breast cancer survivors. From there, started training people on just breast cancer and exercise, which of course is huge and so necessary. But when my father was diagnosed with prostate and bladder cancer, my grandfather had lung cancer, I said, wow, there is an even greater need for health and fitness professionals to be trained to work with cancer patients at, not only once they had cancer, but even from prevention and then during treatment and into recovery. So in 2004, I established the Cancer Exercise Training Institute and have spent the last, couple decades training fitness and healthcare professionals to become cancer exercise specialists. We're in 44 countries now. It's really amazing. And we've created this great group, team, family of cancer exercise specialists throughout the world. So that's a little bit about me. And I want to share with you today what I believe is the biggest opportunity in fitness history. I want to start with somewhat of a rhetorical question, but if you guys will humor me and play along here, I want to know how long you think you are going to live. Just think about that for a second. Hi, Chuck from DC. That's where I'm originally from. So how long do you think that you are going to live? Have you ever put a number on it? You might think this is crazy, but I kind of have in my mind that I'm going to be 93. Don't know why, that's just this magical number I came up with. Nobody else seems to want to play my game, but if you want, go ahead and pop that in the chat box. Hi, Maureen from Lexington. All right, Liz, into your 80s. At least we're thinking about it. So think about this. There is actually what we're calling a longevity revolution. And if you look at the average life expectancy, and so this is by 2030, I mean, South Korea takes the lead, into the 90s. And being that I'm in the US, and most of the people who have told me where you're at today are in the US, but I know we have somebody in Australia, so you can see the expectancy is better, but the US is like not even 85. And I think, you grow up thinking, "Oh, I'm going to live to be 100 and that's the magic number." But really, we all know that it depends on, yes, genetics and predisposition, but also how well we take care of ourselves, right? Mind, body, spirit, diet, exercise. Maureen, 95, Jennifer, 90, Denise, 90. All right. So we all have some pretty high expectations. And being in the fitness industry, we know what it takes. And it's not just exercise alone. You've got to eat right. You've got to manage your stress. How many of you have been stressed this year? Just a little bit. And I think that depression is a huge part of people's dis-ease. I think somebody just raised their hand, and I don't think in this format I can allow you to speak. So if you don't mind writing in the chat box, I'm certainly, I see hands keep going up, hands keep going up. Liz, if you can figure out how to unmute, but I don't think it's possible because we're in a webinar setting, but I want to answer your questions. So please put them in the chat box, or you can reach out to me later. I'm going to give you guys my contact information so that you have that. Oh, okay. You guys are raising your hands because you're stressed. Yeah, me. And we're looking at a complete upheaval of our industry. So fear not, that's why we're here today. And we're going to talk about how you can reinvent yourself. So check this out. There 40 million in 2000, when we're talking about baby boomers. I think I skipped a slide here. No, I did not. Over 70 million by 2030. And this is this revolution of the aging population. But how many of you guys as fitness professionals focus on seniors, focus on special populations? Now, I've been a trainer since 1992. And I started off, wanting to work with everybody to be fit and buff and have six packs and lose weight for their wedding. And that's all great and important, but not all of those people have the time. They got to work. They are working 9 to 5 or whatever, maybe more, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And a lot of them don't have the money. So when we look at this older population, and that even includes, someone like myself in their 50s, there is a huge opportunity that is terribly overlooked. And if you think about when gyms were open, okay, guys, I'm getting totally squirrely here because I keep looking at the chat box. So I'm going to look at the chat box later because otherwise I'm going to divert constantly. But think about when gyms were open and, between say 10 and 3, the gym is empty. So if you are a gym owner, a studio owner, a personal trainer looking to fill that time, you are missing the boat if you are not looking at the aging population. So baby boomers are anyone born between 1946 and 1965. So I missed it by 1 year. 78 million people. This is just in the United States. So Australia, Japan, China, Asia, India, anywhere else in the world, I'm sure you're seeing numbers that at least are in this zone. By 2030, all boomers, so all of those millions of people will be 65 or older. So what kind of opportunity do you think this presents to you as a fitness professional? How can you use this aging population to your advantage? And I don't mean take advantage. I mean, use it to your advantage as far as building your business. So let's look at this. There will be more people over age 55 than children under 15 by 2035. And that's pretty much around the corner. And more people over 55 than people under 25 by 2080. Now, I don't know how many of you guys will still be here by then. I think I'll be long gone. But nonetheless, we see this dramatic shift in the population of the world. And by 2030, only 38.8% of the global population will be 24 years old or younger, which is going to go down 41%. So lots of numbers. What is the point? I'm just reinforcing the fact that we have this aging population. And one of the big trends, if you will, when you look at studies and research, is that there is a decrease in fertility worldwide. So whether it be, people can't afford to have children, they're not getting married till they're older, and then they're not able to have babies. It's being, certain countries are saying you can only have one child. Whatever the case is, we are seeing fewer and fewer babies being born. Now, what does that mean to you guys? It's a perfect storm. And this is all kind of glass half full, glass half empty, depending on how you want to look at it, right? I mean, we can look at this as depressing. Oh my God, there's not going to be this new, what do you call it, group of people. You got your boomers, you got your millennials, you got your Gen Z, and things are slowing down. But we can also look at embracing the aging population. We know we have the numbers. That's what I've been talking to you about. But they have a need, right? They are dealing with all kinds of emotional, physical, social issues as they're aging, and we are able to help kind of bridge that gap and be a safety net for this population. And they have the desire. They want to feel better. They want to look better, but they want to feel better. They don't want to hurt as much. They want to be able to do the things that they've always loved doing and are suddenly feeling that, that carpet's being pulled out from underneath them. And they have the finances. So I can tell you, just being in my 50s compared to my 40s or my 30s, in my 30s, I couldn't afford most things, living hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, client to client. And hopefully you prepare and you save so that by the time you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, you have that savings, and you are going to use your funds for what you feel is most important. And typically with an aging population, the majority of people realize the importance of taking care of their body. So the other big part of this is that there is very little competition in the industry, because most people are focused on, body perfect and like I said, competition, weddings, beach bodies, all of those things, and they're overlooking this population. So it may not sound fun. It may not sound exciting. Any of you who have already worked with an aging client, I mean, we're all aging, so that's kind of a stupid word, but an older or geriatric, whatever you want to call it, or somebody with special populations, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, osteoporosis, diabetes. It is so rewarding. It is way more for me than, helping somebody to get into a certain size. Yes, that's awesome. And I don't mean to diminish that. But when you can help give someone their life back, that is truly, I think, what we're in this industry for. And more of a focus needs to be put on wellness, not just fitness, but wellness. So check out these numbers if you're not convinced yet. When we're talking about this population, the boomers, 72% have one or more chronic disease. And most chronic diseases can be minimized or entirely prevented with the proper prescription of exercise and dietary recommendations. And when I say proper prescription, there are many ways to do it wrong. 43% have high blood pressure, 13 have COPD, 16 diabetes, 39% are obese. And think about all the comorbidities that go along with obesity. and 24% have a walking disability. So can we as an industry help this population? Absolutely. And my father, not only did he have prostate and bladder cancer, he had COPD, he had type 2 diabetes, he had high blood pressure. And technically he was probably obese, even though he really wasn't in my mind, but it had the weight in his belly. So this generation, generally speaking, did not grow up exercising. My generation, kind of growing up in the 80s, I started working out in 1984. And this was, neon lights and chrome and what do you call it? Headbands and leg warmers. Definitely the beginning of this fitness boom. But now I think we need to take a step back and look at this missed opportunity. So I want to kind of spiral in now to cancer, because in addition to this aging population, 60% of people who have cancer are 65 or older. So are 60% of cancer survivors. So there's definitely that overlap. Now we have people who are fighting for their life with cancer, but they may also be dealing with other comorbidities associated with aging. Worldwide, an estimated 19.3 million new cancer cases, and this is excluding melanoma and skin cancer, which, by the way, May is Melanoma and Skin Cancer Awareness Month. 10 million deaths, and these numbers are from the American Cancer Society. Now, I don't want to focus on death because I personally believe that some of those deaths could have been avoided if people had the education and they knew how to take care of themselves. They understood the importance of exercise, diet, and stress management in battling their cancer and getting through their diagnosis. 50 million cancer survivors worldwide. I'm one of them. Any of you guys cancer survivors out there? That means 50 million people, many of whom are going, what now? They get done with treatment, surgery. They're in this medical net, if you will, for 6 months or a year. And their medical team is their safety net, their family. It's what they know. It's their security, right? And then you get released. Okay, it's the best day. You're done with chemo, you're done with treatment, whatever. And now it's, as a cancer survivor or patient, wherever you're at, you're sitting there kind of going, okay, how do I get my life back? How do I overcome all of these side effects? And is there a guidebook? And yes, people can Google and go to the book, go to the library or the internet to find information. But unfortunately, most of that information is very general in nature. And one thing, if I can emphasize anything today, is that if you are working with cancer patients or survivors and you don't have appropriate training, you are putting your client in harm's way and you are potentially setting yourself up for liability issues, because it is so complex, folks. And not understanding all of the potential acute and chronic side effects of surgery and treatment can be really, in some cases, life-threatening. We need to understand what the treatment has done physically, right here, right now, in terms of posture and range of motion, but also what are the long-term side effects, like diabetes, osteoporosis, damage to the heart and lungs. And these things may not present for years. So take these people, this aging population, many of whom have also had cancer or have cancer, and think of what's important to them. What do you think is on their bucket list? If you were diagnosed with cancer, if you were given a year to live, if you were given 5 years to live, or an indefinite amount of time, what would be most important to you? Well, a lot of people will say travel. I want to see the Taj Mahal. I want to go to Turks and Caicos, whatever. And they may also, in that same sentence, say, but I'm not strong enough, or I can't walk, or, have some other ambulatory issue. So, what if we could reassure them that that is still possible, that we can help them to get stronger, to get that stamina, to help them be more ambulatory so that they can check that off the list? Do you think that that would rate high on, the importance spectrum to that person? The other thing is family. And in this particular case, is probably spending time with grandkids. And for many, this is the most positive life stage. A lot of people in this boomer population are still working, and they want to stay physically active so they can continue to work. They can be with their family, their grandkids. They want to leave a legacy. They want memories with their grandchildren, and they don't want to be remembered as, the grandparent in the walker or in the wheelchair. They want to get out and have fun, be physical, be active with their grandkids. So once again, I reinforce the fact that we have the ability to help people achieve this. Now, these little tidbits are also from the American Cancer Society. And there's so much research out there, not just from ACS, but moderate exercise has been directly linked to an increase in strength and endurance. Now, cancer treatment wipes people out. Cancer itself, from the diagnosis through the treatment, can strip you of everything, from your hair, your body parts, your self-confidence, self-esteem, finances, spouse, job, you name it. And as a cancer exercise specialist, I know that I am able to give somebody back, even if it's this teeny little bit of control, when they feel that they don't have any. And that is is just the most rewarding feeling to me, at the end of the day, when I have to look at myself and say, what have I done with my life? It feels so good to know the people that I've helped on such a deep level. Chemo and certain ones, particularly adriamycin, can actually have a detrimental effect on the heart and lungs. And so we know that cardiovascular exercise is going to help to strengthen the heart and lungs. Also, exercise is going to help prevent comorbidities in general, like diabetes, osteoporosis, heart disease, even lymphedema, which is the swelling of the affected area. And that could be anywhere where lymph nodes were removed or where somebody received radiation. And this is probably one of the most overlooked areas in oncology, and one that requires so much education, where we can get out there in our social media groups or start private groups where you can educate the general public. And you need to build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. And that's how you start to build the community that feels safe with you and that will want to hire you. You're not going to just get medical referrals because you leave your business cards in the doctor's office. Everybody has to feel that connection. And whether it's know, like, and trust, or know, like, or trust, at least something has to be in that equation. And even as a published author, I've learned this the hard way all through the last 28 years, is just because I send people business cards or brochures and say, "Hi, I'm Andrea Leonard. I'm the president and founder of the Cancer Exercise Training Institute, published author, personal trainer of the year," it doesn't matter. There's got to be that personal connection. So as I'm mentioning these things, I'm trying to get you thinking about how you can interact with the general population or the medical professionals to start to build this presence. And maybe it's becoming a geriatric exercise specialist, maybe it's becoming a cancer exercise specialist. But all of these bullet points here are things that you can use on your business card or your brochure or your flyer. These are all bullet points of things that can be prevented, minimized, helped with exercise for anyone who is going through cancer treatment or recovering. And when you look at all of these, everything from improved sleep, which is going to help somebody to heal. If they're not getting rest, they are not going to heal. They're not going to have that energy. Lessen pain. I mean, if we know that exercise can help reduce pain associated with cancer treatment, why then is every single patient not quote unquote prescribed exercise? And things like self-confidence, self-esteem, depression, all of these things can be minimized or completely eradicated with proper exercise. And hear me when I say proper, because that is the key. If you are just giving random workouts to cancer patients or survivors, you may be doing more harm than good without understanding all of the short-term and long-term side effects, things like lymphedema. Have any of you guys ever heard of lymphedema? Is that a word that you're even familiar with? Because even cancer patients are seldom told about lymphedema. And so when there's damage to the lymphatic system from surgery or radiation, oftentimes there is a backup of fluid in that area and therefore swelling, which can decrease range of motion. It can decrease functional capacity. There can be numbness. And then of course, if it's in the feet, it can affect balance and mobility. So all of these things need to be considered when you're putting together an exercise program. And even something simple like putting somebody on a treadmill, if they have neuropathy in their feet, could be very dangerous for that client. There are at least 20 studies, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, it's not really, it's quite recent where we're getting this abundance of research in maybe the last 10 years, really showing the connection with exercise and certain types of cancer in terms of reduction. So breast, colorectal, prostate, ovarian, they are showing a very strong link between exercise and lowering the risk of recurrence of the cancer coming back, and also improved survival compared to those who are inactive. So we know exercise can help prevent cancer. It can minimize treatment side effects. It can help people recover, range of motion, postural deviations, prevent comorbidities, and also increase life expectancy. And I've kind of just talked about a number of these that are bullet pointed here, but overall, look at what exercise and fitness can give seniors and cancer patients and survivors. And I want to pause for a second and have you think about this year with COVID and how it's affected, if you have parents or grandparents that are older, widowed, they have been in isolation for the past year. My mom currently has stage 4 breast cancer. This was her 3rd breast cancer diagnosis, and I've not been able to see her since October. And even then, it was probably not the smartest thing to do. And I have seen her become increasingly depressed, isolated. She's having more brain fog, just like everything else. If you don't use it, you lose it, your mind and your body. So when you look at all the things that give meaning to people's lives, quality of life, if you will, that includes family time, ability to travel, productivity, even sexuality. Yes, even older people have sexuality, hobbies, the ability to work, function, just life experiences. Imagine when all that is taken away like that. And, in certain parts of the world, we're kind of coming out of COVID, at least temporarily, while other places are now going into more isolation again. So Taiwan has been great pretty much all year, and now they are having, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's finally affecting them. So I don't think we're anywhere near done with the whole COVID experience. Looking at the chat box here, Denise says, because insurance companies will not pay for it and it's expensive, that it's probably not prescribed by doctors. And I think, that's absolutely part of the equation. But once again, older, and this is really a bubble term, aging population have more money in many cases, not all, because we know that not everybody, a lot of them are living on retirement and are not living well. And this is where we as the fitness industry can accommodate people. We know we have to make a certain amount of money. I mean, we can't work for free unless you're wealthy, but we could certainly do a couple hours a month of pro bono. We could have a sliding scale, and you have to figure out what you can afford to give away in terms of how many hours a week and a month and so on and so forth. But I do think that, you know, we should all give back in one way or another. You just have to figure out what works for you. And I'm reading your thing, Jackie, and I want to read it in more detail, but I don't want to rush through it. So going back to the money here, what do you think is the number one objection to selling fitness programs? Is it monetary? If you have a studio or just as a personal trainer, what do you think your number one objection is? I don't like exercise. It costs too much. I don't have time. Maybe a little bit of all of the above. So this is where we can also get creative with small groups, with Zoom. This year you have either floundered and you know, kind of bottomed out, or you have reinvented yourself. And that is it's been a time for a lot of people to take on new careers, and a lot of people have thought, okay, how can I reinvent myself through Zoom, through Facebook, through whatever other social media platforms? 77% of discretionary wealth is that of this baby boomer generation. And they purchase 45% of all consumer goods. And I keep throwing these slides in because I want you to think of these objections as far as, you know, people don't have money, people aren't going to spend money. They're going to spend money on what they feel is important. And when you get older, you feel more that your health is important. Your well-being is important. Your mental health is important. And all of these slides here, people in their 80s, 90s, who have proven that you can be healthy and fit at any age. I mean, these are incredible. Can you even imagine being that fit? Probably not, because most of us are not in our 80s or 90s yet. But this is absolutely possible. People don't have to be frail. We can help to change the paradigm. You know, when people think of cancer, they automatically think of death. But more people are going to survive cancer than die from it. And when people think of old people, they think of, you know, this bottom picture with this frail old lady on a walker and all alone and living in the old age home. It doesn't have to be that way. But the industry has to change. We have to cater to those that are in need, not just of six packs and bulging biceps and getting ready for their wedding, but people who really need fitness to survive. And so this offers an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself. What have you guys done? And I want to hear from you. Talk to me. I'm gonna look in the chat box. What have you done this year to get through COVID? Did you say, the heck with it, I'm done, I'm not a fitness professional anymore? Or did you start a Facebook group? Did you start doing Zoom training? Did you create a niche market for yourself? Okay, Jackie says virtual programming. And you have so many different options on that, right? You can do Zoom meetings, you can do FaceTime. And did you know, we have actually figured out how to very accurately do a virtual assessment, measuring people's range of motion, doing a postural assessment, things that add more value to your services. All right, cool, Denise. Did virtual personal training also. Yeah, it seems like everybody's doing virtual training, right? What choice do we have? But let's take this a step beyond that. So we all know, you know, we can show people how to do exercise. But if even in these group formats, if you could do an individual assessment for everyone in there, and yes, you know, they're going to pay for that, but then you are able to really customize the training and you're going to get better results, even if it is with an athlete. If you can identify, limited external rotation and determine which muscles are overcompensating or which muscles are weak, is there synergistic dominance? These things are going to help give you a more, help you to give your client a more accurate, individualized workout, and they're going to get better results, which is then going to end up with referrals. They're going to be like, oh my God, Greta is the best thing since sliced bread. Look, I can move my arm again. And you're going to start to get referrals from just the general public, from doctors, other medical professionals. I'm looking at Greta's still reinventing, but have offered a free class plus a small, more personal training approach with clients. Excellent. And that's another thing. It's time to reach out to the people, that you have trained in the past and maybe offer them something that they can't refuse. 35 to 50% of gyms and health clubs have either closed or are going to close. So we're going virtual, folks. You can resist it all you want. And I think, eventually, yes, we're going to see all kinds of new gyms reopening, but it's going to be a while. And there's been a 42% growth in online sales in 2020. Consumer shopping online is continuing to grow into 2021, and fitness training, virtual fitness training, is definitely the next evolution in the fitness industry. And I say it again, doesn't matter if you like it or not, because I've had a lot of people resist it. It is where we're going. So you decide, are you going to sink or are you going to swim? And a lot of this is, positive attitude, affirmations, all that rah, but it's absolutely true. Whether you guys have, watched The Secret or do positive affirmations, energy is energy. And if you're putting out negative energy and you're feeling negative about yourself and, oh, woe, where's me, that is what you're going to attract. So you have to fake it until you make it right now. You have to find ways to reinvent yourself, to create a demand, and you're going to start by building your community. And you're going to do that for free because people are not going to pay you until you have that relationship. So what I want to leave you with thinking about today is, what niche market, could you add to your what's the word I'm looking for? Well, your customers, your customer base. Where can you divert a little bit to bring in a new audience? And then can you start a Facebook group like athletes during coronavirus, or Cancer Survivors Anonymous, or Cancer Survivors Boot Camp, or whatever you think is appealing. None of those are, by the way. Those were just stupid things that I, pulled off the cuff. But start a Facebook group. Start inviting people to join your group. Build community. Provide education that is pertinent to that group. So if I'm talking to breast cancer survivors, I'm going to talk about mastectomy incisions. I'm going to talk about lymphedema, range of motion in my shoulder, losing my hair, losing my breast, hormonal issues, infertility, things that are relevant, and start creating this dialogue. Do not charge. Do not ask for money. Do not make it about the almighty dollar. This is just education and building community. Once you have this group of people who know, like, and trust you, then you can start to say, hey, I've got this boot camp coming up, or I've got this meditation session coming up, or yoga, or whatever. And maybe you start with a small fee and then, gradually build from there. But I'm telling you, you've got to get the trust of the people in your group before they're going to start spending money on you. And people have to know your value. Excuse me, for anybody who is interested in becoming a cancer exercise specialist. And hopefully I've shown you the numbers between the aging population and the percentage of whom will have cancer. If you use the code AAHF30, you have to go to CETI.teachable.com. So you can see that on the slide. You'll get 30% off of the Cancer Exercise Specialist Advanced Qualification. You're going to get your CEUs. You're going to get certified as a cancer exercise specialist. you're going to get listed on our international directory. We have a private Facebook group for health and fitness professionals who are cancer exercise specialists around the world with ongoing training, business coaching. We have so many different ways to help you become the local oncology exercise specialist. Now, it may not be for everybody, but certainly for those of you who have a calling to work with cancer patients or survivors, we want to make this available. And you can reach out to me with private questions at andrea@thecancerspecialist.com. You can also find on our website the functional aging and brain health trainer certification, which are great complements, also kind of niche markets. If you don't already have those are through the Functional Aging Institute. So I am here for you. If you have any questions, happy to answer them now. If not, like I said, you can reach out to me in private. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about things in front of everybody else, so I do want to make that available, and I will be at my desk all day so I can answer your questions. But I do want to thank you for taking the time out to join me today, and I hope that this piqued your interest in working with the aging population and working with cancer patients and survivors, and more importantly, thinking how you can reinvent yourself during this difficult time. I have had the best year of business ever because I got on the reinvention wagon back in March. I mean, it didn't take long for me to figure out that things were going to go downhill before they got better. And I started doing Zoom workshops last March. And while it was quite the challenge to begin with, it has proven to be a really amazing year. So I know you guys can do it also. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to sign out and say goodbye to you, but please reach out to me. Take advantage of this special, or if you know anybody who might be interested, feel free to share it with them and let them get the 30% savings. So have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I hope to hear from you and see you in the future. Thanks, Greta. Thanks, Liz, Maureen, Denise, everybody who joined us from around the world today. I'm Andrea Leonard, signing off.